I was wrong about fear and hunger. I thought it was just cruel and punishing, and, while it is those things, it's also so much more. This game runs deeper and darker than I ever imagined. What started as something I only liked has quickly become one of my all-time favorite games. Every step feels like gambling with mortality. Every corner hides death you might never recover from. If you missed my first video, I'll link it down below. But for now, let's begin. This time when I restarted, I chose a different character, the Outlander. The reason for this is that he is the epitome of survival. He knows all the tricks to stay alive, even in the most impossible of situations. Sounds promising. I again chose terror and starvation mode, since this is the one that I started on, and so this is the first one I will conquer. The Outlander was born in Oldergard with something called the Soul of the Tormented, and this means he is destined to struggle with every step he takes in life. This will harden the Outlander and give him an iron will that rivals the gods themselves. His father taught him how to fight from a very young age, further strengthening the man he would one day become. As the Outlander came of age, a great hunger ravaged the land due to the winters becoming more unforgiving. And with that, the men of Oldergard sailed west to try and find food and riches for their people. The Outlander also joined this quest. Months of sailing and running out of food, the men aboard became tempted by cannibalism, and some of them gave in and devoured their fellow crewmates. After a torturous trip, the crew finally lands at the continent of Vinland, a continent that had never been touched by a civilized hand. It was tainted by ancient deities and gods no one had ever heard of, and what the crew saw there forever changed them. The crew tried to scavenge anything worthwhile and leave as soon as possible, because that place started to drive some of them insane. They brought back an ancient artifact from Vinland. The Outlander knew it was a mistake to bring it back, but it was out of his hands. Still, it felt like a bad omen. An omen that would come to pass when returning from one of his many hunting trips, the village burning, his family slain, and the artifact stolen. Those who survived described the attackers as the Knights of the Midnight Sun, led by a famous captain. The Outlander immediately packed his things and chased after them. And during his long chase, he learned that the captain had been captured and taken to the notorious Dungeons of Rondon, more commonly known as the Dungeon of Fear and Hunger. And this is where we start off with the Outlander. This time I have a bit more knowledge and immediately get to looting and move through the left door and start the adventure. Destroy the first man-over enemy, easy. Loot everything along the way, also easy. And wow, I seem to be really well equipped at the start of the game. I'm feeling way more comfortable this time around. Surely this luck will continue. Found a door that I cannot open that somehow makes me hear a voice inside my head asking me to come find them and let the blood flow. Okay, sure. I continue just looting everything I see, and eventually I make it back to the graveyard again. Everything seems to be going super easy. An enemy comes charging out of the darkness, and oh my god, he's so much faster than me. This is a new enemy. Looks like the gods, but better, stronger. This is the elite god. I don't even take off his arm with one hit like a normal god, and by the time his second arm is off, I die. But I'm not dead yet. I wake up, my legs cut off. I can only crawl. The elite guard is still here and coming towards me. He bashes my head and cuts off my one arm. Then he laughs about it afterwards. This torture clearly a game to him. I'm bleeding, only one arm left to move with, and I crawl away from him trying to escape. He also doesn't follow me far. I find this quite strange, but I keep moving. As I reach the door, I understand why the elite guard isn't worried about me escaping. The door is locked and I have no means to break the door. I'm stuck. It's hopeless. And then a horrifying realization washes over me. The game wants me to crawl back to the elite guard so he can finish the job. The game actually managed to put me in the character's shoes and wish for release. I experience all of it. probably one of the tiny moments in the game that sets it so far apart from its competition into the brilliant. I crawl back and allow the elite guard to just pummel away at my head, and the elite guard obliges, bashing and laughing all the way. This really made me sit back in my chair and think about how terrifying that actually was. I love this game. I go again, but this time I'm not so lucky with the weapon racks. My always heads seems to be failing me, but I'm still in decent shape though. I accidentally attacked the Manabo's tentacle instead of his head because I was spamming the enter key, and the Manabo causes this status effect. It looks like a worm? Some kind of parasite probably. I get back to where the elite guard was, and this time I just don't go down that route. I instead go another way. Back at the wet creature now, I realize that I found the Ring of Wraiths here last time, so I try to look for it again, but no luck this time. I found a room that I missed last time, and this one says this room feels somewhat safe as a place can in these dungeons, that is, implying that the save is a free, safe one. It doesn't even prompt a coin toss and just rests and saves. Nice. This actually feels like I made progress for a change. It says that it felt like someone was watching me while I slept. This room doesn't feel safe anymore. Okay, so might be a once-off free save then. Back at the prisons, I decide to go another route. This takes me to a completely new location, the Blood Pit. And oh my god, look at this place. Horrifying, just bodies and gore and blood everywhere. Terrifying scene. In the Blood Pit, I also see some sort of lizard man, and I go the other way instead. This is really getting weird. I also discover a pit that I can jump down. A pit in the Blood Pit, if you will. But I'll try that a bit later. Moving on, it seems like I'm in a torture chamber of some kind, and my suspicion is confirmed when I encounter a man called Tortur. I see what you did there, game. I also just want to mention that as you play this game, your character has an inner monologue, and you can read it at the bottom of your screen. It's such an amazing touch, because it makes your characters feel way more alive. They question their moves and actions, and it lets you know what they smell, how they perceive the world around them. It's just an excellent attention to detail. This becomes even more impressive when you consider that this game is solo developed. One guy created this, and it feels like it should be a AAA. Really amazing work. Glazing aside and back to the encounter, I choose to hide when I hear him come up to the room that I'm in, and he quickly shambles away after not spotting me. I inspect this hole in the wall and it shoots at me. I am now bleeding. I bandage myself and try to look for something in my inventory that takes care of a parasite. And I find it. Worm juice. Kills parasites and worms inside the host's body. It cures the parasite, but then it poisons me. So back I go to my inventory to find something to cure poison, but it doesn't seem like I have anything that cures poison. Great. Moving down, I don't see the button on the floor and run over it, triggering the trap I set off earlier. Now, I am poisoned and I'm bleeding again. This game, man. I find a prisoner called Buckman and he is in heavy distress about torture. So I go find him and he attacks me immediately, and honestly, once you cut off his arm, he doesn't do anything, so I just proceed to kill him. I go back to tell Buckman about my victory against Tortur, and he is excited to finally get out of here. He tells me to meet him somewhere safe so we can talk. Where the hell is that? Moving on, I find these weird cultist looking dudes surrounding an altar with a guy that is crucified to it. That's a wild sentence, I know. I sacrifice the guy there, not knowing what it even does, because why not, you know? The option was there. Then I talk to one of the priests because they are not running after me, but as soon as I talk to them, they attack me. I miss, they hit hard, and I try to run. It was successful at least, and they don't chase after me. Interesting. You would think that just all enemies kind of behave the same, but clearly they don't. I guess they just don't like being talked to. Fair enough. I discover you can just tear flags on the walls to get more rags to stop your bleeding. And that's a great way to make even the environment and its aesthetics useful. My final torch runs out. Oh no. But then I discover I can craft a torch in the crafting section, but I don't have any tinderboxes. Oh god, I guess darkness it is. I find a small library type room and there is someone in here who doesn't attack on sight. I look through the bookshelves and in one of them I fail a coin toss and a rat jumps out and bites me. Another infection. Around every corner you have a chance to lose. I'm not actually even sure what infection does, to be honest. It doesn't seem to be giving me any sort of damage over time effect. I'm really not sure. I talk to the person and it's the Dark Priest. I'm assuming from the character selection, and this is one of the characters that you can play. So wait, can you actually find all the playable characters inside the dungeon? That's actually quite a cool way of doing it, because regardless of who you play, all the other characters are in the dungeon trying to achieve their goals. It makes the whole experience feel even more alive and full of purpose. So the mercenary is still inside the dungeon trying to find the same man that I am, but for another reason. He wants the captain so he can get a whole lot of money for returning him safely, whereas the outlander who I'm playing now presumably wants to either interrogate or kill him based on the lore so far. That's really cool how it's all starting to come together, like a big picture kind of deal. Anyway, the Dark Priest's name is Enki, and he is a priest of destruction. He is not in a chatty mood and basically tells me to f*** off. But I am persistent and cannot take a hint, so I keep talking to him. We learn that the Dark Priests in general are frowned upon by modern society, and only get used when they are deemed useful enough. It makes sense why he is so shut off from random people. After exhausting all my dialogue options, my only option now is to attack him or leave. And I don't want to attack him in case he is a character that could join me later. So I leave him alone and search the final bookcases at the top and find an ancient book that calls to me. The book looks irresistible. Okay, fine, I'll start reading the books that I found. I start with the irresistible ancient book. You feel a twist inside you as you take the book from your satchel. You feel a great urge to open the book, but at the same time, you feel like the consequences might be terrible. As I read it, I discover that it is the Necronomicon, and I get a heads or tails prompt. Really? Can a book kill me? As always, I choose heads, and thankfully it's heads. Grogroth blesses you with new blood magic. I learned the ability called Blood Golem that lets me summon a Blood Golem by sacrificing some of my HP. But I have no HP to spare, so I think that this will probably be useless to me. The rest of the stuff that I got wasn't that exciting. The one tells me about some kind of crow talking about a massacre, and the book about Grogroth blessing people with blood magic and being a shapeshifter. At least the blessed with blood magic part did happen, so seems legit. Moving on, I discover a hungry blob of bodies called the Human Hydra. Nightmare fuel. The Hydra says it's hungry, and I foolishly ask what it eats. It says humans, of course. Okay, I'm leaving. Heading south, I find a door that takes me outside, where a lot of hanging bodies are. Awful, just awful. There is a well that I can jump into, but I don't because it most likely leads to death somehow, and it reeks of death, so no way in hell that I'm jumping down there. Nothing interesting really to be found outside, so I move further south. I go through the door and I am now in what looks like a kitchen, and there's a zombie in this room as well.
My mortal enemy.
Not a crawling one this time, a full all four limbs zombie. I attack it, this time knowing that it'll attack once after its head is gone. So I attack its arm, then the other arm, then seeing my health is critical and not wanting history to repeat itself, I go for the head. It hits. The zombie's head is now gone, and as I predicted, it keeps attacking with its head missing. But it didn't die like the previous one after giving one attack after losing its head. The fight is still going. I use a blue vial and the zombie attacks again, basically rendering the blue vial useless. So I attack its body, it doesn't kill it either, and then I die. This game just keeps the punishment coming endlessly. Determined not to go out like that again, I load my save. Okay, so even though I died a lot and died almost the same way to a zombie again, I've learned a lot. So armed with my new knowledge, I'm going to make the next couple of runs intentionally be learning exercises. I'm gonna try new things. With this in mind, when I get to the blood pit again, I decide to fight the lizard man this time. I attack his sword arm and it's gone. He does poison me though with his tongue attack. Licks me until I'm poisoned. Very crazy stuff happening here. And I take care of the legs, which then makes the enemies lose balance. Initially I thought that meant they lost accuracy, but my new theory now is that it makes the head easier to hit because there is an exclamation mark above their head when their legs are destroyed. And yeah, I proceed to attack the head without missing. Please let me know which one of my two theories are correct in the comments down below if you don't mind. I would like to know for sure without watching a video about it. I'm trying my best to stay away from content regarding this game because it's been a joy to learn as I go so far. And I also think that might be the point of this game. Other than the poison, the fight was super easy, no problems at all. When I loot the lizard man's body, I find the Ring of Wraiths here this time, so it really is just randomized each time. I try to search the pile of bodies and I have a bad feeling about this. I investigate further and a head emerges from the bodies and the gore. Then I'm dragged into a fight with the head. A new fight song plays as well, and I think this indicates a boss fight. Okay, fine, I attack it and it does damage, but the head just laughs at me and then he summons something from the darkness. It kind of looks like a more horrifying minotaur. Something is off with it. I attack it again and I miss, and the minotaur thing moves closer. Oh god, this fight has a timer to it, I'm assuming. The menacing presence is staring at you from the shadows. That genuinely gave me goosebumps. It doesn't seem like this is gonna end well for me. As a last-ditch effort, I try to talk to the head, now with the demon-looking thing right there. My god, right there. In my face. I get the option to talk and I ask him what he is doing. He laughs at me and says, "Your imminent doom approaches." The beast looks down upon me, then
You are crushed with great pressure.
holy crap, that was such a weird event. It feels like there are so many possibilities in this game, man. Can that head even be beat? I try to fight the head again, and this time I'm going to try and talk to it from the beginning. I ask him about his origin, he laughs and says I have crossed paths with the wrong floating head. He is the great wizard of the Eastern Sanctuaries, Najra, the bringer of chaos. I tell him, prepare to die, and he takes this as a shot to the ego and boasts about how great he is, and then you are crushed with great pressure. I load my game again, and hey, I finally found tinderboxes and I can finally craft torches. It's looking up. And after the fight with the lizard man, I try to cure my poisoning, but nothing works. I don't know how to cure poison. Nothing seems to work. I easily dispatch torture again and sacrifice this guy again. I'm still not sure what it does. I find a bloody toilet, and here is another place that I can jump down. I don't, because come on, it's a bloody toilet. Get it? As I walk into the room just above the toilet, I am attacked by a guard. Lose a coin toss and I am brutally beaten down and killed. That didn't last long. This time I skip the lizard because he poisons me and I don't know how to deal with poison. I also decide, screw this, I need to learn some stuff, so I'm gonna jump down things this time. I jump down the pit in the blood pit, and as I land, I completely destroy my legs. I'm not even surprised. I decide to explore a bit since I'm already here, and I hear a crow or something screaming in the background, but just keep moving. As I move through this place, I also start hearing a howling wolf. But I decide to ignore it and try to move as far from it as I can. I get to a mine entrance and you feel a terrible presence entering these dungeons. My torch goes out and I hear the howling again. Fantastic. I see who I think is the Dark Priest, but apparently it's not. It's someone called Nosramus. They seem quite friendly and they tell us that they are an alchemist. He seems otherworldly or ancient. He says he left the kettle on and runs off. That's a weird encounter. Following in Nosramus's footsteps, I run into something called a night lurch. And the night lurch proceeds to kill me as if I am nothing. I'm assuming I am too undergeared for this area, perhaps. Loading up again, I decided I'm actually gonna try and fight the big golden guy this time to see how tough he really is. I mean, I might as well, since I'm dying over and over anyway, I might as well just see. First time goes really bad. Second time I go for the head, but I miss the second hit, and then I die. The third fight, I actually defeat him with 2 headshots. I also decide to use the soul stone here to see what exactly it does. It doesn't seem to do anything except change the color. The next thing I wanted to try out was approach the torture scene differently. So I confront him. He asks me who I am, but immediately says he has something to show me. So I go with it and I ask him to show me. He knocks me out. I didn't actually think it would go bad this quick. I didn't think when I said show me something that he would just knock me out. I wake up strapped to a rack. Yes, that's exactly what these medieval torture devices are called, and this guy is a psycho. Let's see. You don't need your legs, do you? Well, not anymore, that's for sure. Don't you just love the trembling of pain? In this cold world, it's hard to have any feelings of pleasure, but you know, pain and pleasure are not that far apart. What causes pain to another can bring pleasure to someone else. Arms disgust me, especially limb ones like yours. Where you are going, you got no need for arms. Chop, chop. You remind me of ancient sculptures now, with your perfect skin and teeth. Only one detail and you'll truly be a work of art. Let's remove your sinful, dirty parts. Chop, chop. There. A lot better. Now you are beautiful. Like me. Yeah, I just kill this guy the next time I move through here. I'm going to try and get past the zombie again. I have to overcome this. I try something different. Is its body maybe its weakness? Okay. So just attack them in the body. Easy. I encounter a god and this time I pretty easily kill it since I succeeded the coin toss. Then I find a weird room with a symbol on the ground and I decide to pray on it. Nothing happens when I pray on it, so it's pretty pointless for now. Not sure what it does. I go through my inventory again and I looted a white vial somewhere, and this is what cures poison. I finally found the answer. I also see that the green herb is the thing that cures infections now that I have actually taken the time to read it. It feels good, more knowledge gained. That's amazing. I pick up and read a scroll of the highwayman that teaches me how to move very fast, which is great, and my first order of business is to aggro an enemy and swiftly run myself into a corner because I am not used to the faster movement speed. Great. No problem though, because I kill it relatively easily. Hold on, I recognize this table. I think I'm back to the beginning of the dungeon, but instead the front entrance, where the dogs usually chased after me. I also find a door and I can hear whispers inside the room. I knock because I'm a polite motherfucker and a guard answers and I quickly dispatch of him. I find a little girl in a cage inside the room. I try to talk to her, but she doesn't respond to me. I try to open the cage, but it's locked and I don't have the key, so I try and scavenge the room to search for the key. In the room above it, I find a scroll of the Church of Sylvian, and I learn the ability Loving Whispers from it. I still find no key, but there is an option to use a red vial on the cage. But won't that kill the girl inside the cage? I am hesitant about it, but I do it eventually, and it just melts the lock off and she is free. She joins my party but doesn't say a word still. Kinda creepy, but I guess, yeah, shame, poor kid. Probably trauma and so on made her mute. Finally, I check out the Loving Whispers ability. It's a healing spell. Awesome, so I have 2 party members, healthy, no ailments, and a healing spell to boot. This run is going very well. And now the anxiety of what if I die now sets in. So I am in search of a bed immediately. I can fight a guard if they attack me during the rest, no problem. I just need to find a bed. I find the Enki room again and find a book that teaches you how to skin things so that you can wear their skin to mask your scent. I also found a book called Alchemelia which explains a lot of crafting recipes. I really need a safe spot now. The anxiety is rising. I also find a mock-up book and I can use it in the mock bookcase. This actually moves the bookcase, revealing a new entrance. This leads to another outside section, and here I find a knife on the ground and it might be a suitable weapon for children. Really? Anyway, so I give it to the girl and she seems excited. She now probably has a weapon. I find a weird looking man and I want to talk to him, but what if he attacks and is strong and I lose all my progress? I decide to risk it anyway, and thank God he's just an insane man wanting to become a butterfly. I find a naked person. I walk up a bit and find many naked persons doing the naked person dance. Sorry, I can't show any of this, so instead I'll replace the section with a delightful seal. I talk to the head naked person and they say, "Welcome to the meadows, O traveler. Let us ease your suffering. The first one is free." Okay, this is genuinely how dumb I am. I talk to one of the people in the mass of people rutting with one another and he asks, "Are you looking for a partner?" I say yes, thinking that it means I get another party member for the run. In hindsight, yes, this is obvious, but I was so focused on getting to safety and another save point that I thought this was someone that I could take with me to make the journey easier. He replies, "Just take off your clothes and put on a mask." Oh god, what have I done? What happens next truly caught me off guard, even though it's quite obvious looking at it now. Anyway, I return back to the dungeon and see that Enki, the dark priest, is now gone from the small library. I see that blob of bodies again and I remember they wanted humans to eat, and I have a child in my party now which I can offer for them to eat. Yeah, I leave. "Oi, where do you think you're going, you prick?" Racing back to a bed, I hear a crack under my feet. Come on. Okay, good, I guessed right. I find a bed where Buckman was and I try to save the game. The coin toss happens again and yes, I guessed correctly and I get to save my game. I made a ton of progress and I feel like I know at least this part of the dungeon really well. So I return to the prisons and find that crossbow guard that damaged me a lot last time and fight him. Of course not before taking an arrow to the face. This is quite tough. I try to sever his arms, but the girl doesn't hit hard at all. The guard actually kills the girl before I can kill him. In Fear and Hunger, when one of your party members dies, it's permanent. They are dead. I kinda want my party members to survive a bit longer than that, so I decide, okay, this is going to be another knowledge run to see what I can learn. I found a lever in a room and I pull it. You hear some faint mechanism activating somewhere. I have no idea what this just did, but I try to retrace my steps and see if anything changed anyway. I finally do find the change in the blood pit. There is now an elevator here, so I enter and go down. Now I can explore this place a bit more, so I go in another direction than I did previously. I meet a character called Pocket Cat, and he says he will sell me precious items and weapons in exchange for human children. Holy f this guy. I then also find the source of the howling. A wolf called Moonless attacks me. This enemy was decently tough since I missed its head a few times, but eventually it goes down, not too bad. It is weird that there was a whole sound dedicated to this wolf, but in any case, maybe he is harder for other characters to deal with. I find the entrance to the mines again, and there I see Nosramus again. I decide to show myself, and the game bugs out and freezes. And I think that's also where I will end this video for now. Thanks everyone for the support on the previous video. It did really well on TikTok especially, and it did decent on Shorts. I really appreciate you guys for watching. I'll be back with another one of these quite soon. I might post a video about another topic next, but then after that, we are back to Fear and Hunger. Every second video will be a Fear and Hunger until we have beaten it. Thanks to all the channel members and for supporting and allowing me to create videos like this. Much love, and as always, have a great day.